The yoga practice is first and foremost a practice. It's not a place where you arrive and take something. It's not some place where you'll ever kind of reach a final destination. The most important thing to understand about yoga is that it is a practice. So we're constantly getting on the mat. We're constantly kind of revising. It's an eternal and continual practice. And what this means is that you can let yourself off the hook of ever getting the poses perfectly done. You can let yourself off the hook of ever attaining kind of any sort of perfection that we're reaching towards, meaning we can just be human beings doing the practice and continue to place our intention to expand our minds, to grow spiritually, and to do what we can to have a little bit happier, a little bit more peaceful life. The commitment of the student and the student's journey is really the essence of what makes yoga a personal and devoted practice. In Sanskrit, there's a concept called sadhana, and the student's journey turns what is just, say, a routine of a series of poses or some exercises into a spiritual practice. There's a devotional element in the student's journey that turns yoga poses into yoga sadhana. When yoga becomes a sadhana, it is a ritual of daily devotion. What are we devoted to? We're devoted to our sense of the highest self. We're devoted to the promise of inner awakening, the promises of expanding our consciousness and really understanding, what is that vital life essence that's at the heart of you and of me and of every sentient being. So the idea of yoga as a personal practice embarks on a continual journey to constantly evolve, to reach closer and closer to that spark of eternality, that spark of light that exists within all of our hearts. If we mistake the yoga practice for a yoga performance, then we divorce ourselves from the true spiritual lineage of what yoga has to offer. I'm here today, more than 25 years after I took my first yoga class, because I embraced the student's journey. For me, the most important thing when I first started practicing was just practicing. I just wanted to practice and practice and practice and practice. So I invite you to dive into the practice with that same level of enthusiasm. Focus on the student's journey and understand that the practice inspires you to go deeper and deeper and deeper. Now, sometimes we get lost along the path. And this is why it's so important for every student to have some relationship with a trusted guide or teacher. Because when you veer off the path and you lose your commitment, the only way to kind of come back is to really embrace the student's journey again and to find your teacher again, to find your community again, and let the time that you spend on the mat really work inside. I've had numerous times throughout my more than 25-year practice journey where I felt a lack of inspiration. I've doubted myself, I've doubted the practice. And it's in those moments that I decided, now I'm going to go back and spend more time with my teacher. Now I'm going to go dive into the community once more so that I can really embrace the heart of the student's journey. The yoga student ideally approaches the practice from a paradigm of what is called swadhyaya, or spiritual self-inquiry. The idea of how can I utilize whatever tools are given to me, whatever grace that I may have, in order to really dive in to that journey of awakening. Now, many people come to the practice with an expectation. So I encourage you to release expectation and instead embrace spiritual self-inquiry. When we expect to get there in a particular time, when we expect the practice to give us something. So for example, if you come in and you expect to do a particular pose in a particular time frame, then that expectation creates a feeling of entitlement that almost says, well, yoga needs to give this to me. Instead, change that thinking entirely and show up and give. Give of your heart and soul. Give everything you have. Put it in to each moment that you spend on the mat and go beyond the asana. Understanding yoga as a personal practice to become a sadhaka, one who engages as a practitioner scholar on the journey of yoga, means to embrace the totality of everything that yoga has in its long tradition. So the asana is a little bit like a door that just kind of really welcomes you in. So many people start the yoga practice with that first interaction of asana. I did. If I hadn't seen asanas, I might not be doing yoga today. So I love asanas, still do them as part of my daily practice. But if you only do asanas and don't understand that there's so much more beyond the asana, then it's almost like you have an amazing gift, but you just haven't unwrapped it completely yet. So you want to unwrap the complete gift and start to dive into the philosophy and dive into the more subtle aspects of the practice, beginning to open your mind up to meditation, opening up your mind to deepening your relationship with your breath, and then, of course, applying whatever lessons you learn on your mat and really bringing that into your life. So we have this concept in the yoga practice called nairantarya, which means without break. When I first heard this concept, I thought, oh no, it means I have to do asanas all day long. Gosh, there's no way I'll be able to do asanas all day long. And it's true, you really shouldn't be doing asanas all day long. Your body will get really sore, you'll get completely exhausted, and we can even harm the body by doing too many asanas. So the idea of nairantarya, without break, doesn't mean that we should be doing asanas or even exercises or techniques all day. Instead, nairantarya means to really be a practitioner of yoga and to embrace the yoga lifestyle, that your commitment to really make your world a happier and a more peaceful place, to take the lessons that you learn on your mat and bring those into your everyday life, that you're a yogi in every moment of your life. And this is nairantarya, to be thinking about the consequences of your actions and your words, to be reflecting on what you said, how you said it, what impact that had on others, to evolve ourselves spiritually and really expand our notion of ourselves. So when we can think about this from the moment we wake up in the morning, taking that and carrying that thread through our personal practice and bringing that into our life, then we have the idea that yoga is so much more than the asana, and that we can commit to practicing yoga without break. But remember, just like I started off saying, the yoga is a personal practice. It's not something that you're ever going to perfect. So it means that we'll never be perfectly peaceful. We'll never be perfectly blissful. We'll never be perfectly aligned. There'll always be moments, myself included, when we feel angry, upset, depressed, anxious. That doesn't mean we're not embracing the concept of devoting ourselves to the spiritual self-inquiry of the student's journey. Instead, just like in your yoga practice, we understand that we'll never be absolutely perfect in every yoga pose. Some days we'll fall out of a handstand, a headstand, or some pose that we've been doing regularly in our practice. And just like in our life, some days we'll be really, really emotionally imbalanced, even if we've been able to maintain a calm demeanor for a long time. That doesn't mean that we failed. Instead, it's an opportunity to reflect on how we respond to the challenge and how we take the lesson of responding to challenge and apply it into our life. In the commitment of the student's journey, some really important tools that are very useful to apply on the mat and also in your life are the tools of compassion and wisdom. To respond to yourself compassionately in those moments when you do realize, oh, I have fallen out of this pose. Oh, my practice wasn't perfect today. To respond to yourself compassionately in those moments in your life when you realize, oh, I spoke harshly in that moment. My words were unkind. Oh, I wasn't truthful there. I didn't show up authentically. Maybe I was too harsh. Maybe I was too angry in those moments. To take responsibility compassionately and not engage in negative self-talk or self-denigration. This will allow you to take that lesson of compassion that you can practice each time the yoga poses are hard. Then you can take the lesson into those moments in your life when life is a little bit hard as well. Then wisdom. Understanding that when we react based on our knee-jerk patterns of the past, we only recreate those experiences which we've already had. And we step into the journey of yoga with a sincere desire to go beyond, to evolve. So when the wise mind can start to shine through, we can become more sensitive to those subtle hints of intuition. So if we're practicing, sometimes we get these little hints that come on that say, maybe I shouldn't push too hard today. Maybe I should, work a little bit more in the shoulders today. Or, what if I tried to do this pose with a new technique? If we can listen to those kind of soft whispers from the subtle intelligence that arises from within, then we'll be able to kind of train the inner ear so that in moments in our life when that still small voice is speaking to us, we can learn to listen. And then our life will be more aligned with the grace that can really come through when when we step our egos out of the way and we understand that the tools of the yoga practice are meant not just to make our yoga poses prettier or more perfect or anything like that, but all the tools of the yoga practice are meant to open up the potential to live a happier and a more peaceful life. So I want you more than anything to keep practicing. So take the student's journey, the mantle of the student's journey, dive deeper into the practice. If you're a teacher, it's even more important that you keep the spark of the student's journey alive, because without that kind of spark of curiosity, of learning, of inquisitiveness, the moment we think we've arrived, then the practice is dead for us. So it's so important for everyone on the path to continually re-enliven our practice, to kind of give birth to it over and over again, to let the seeds of awakening continue to sprout so that we can find nourishment along the eternal path of spiritual awakening. So keep practicing, keep practicing, keep practicing.